Hey everyone, this is Wowous, and we're looking today at Defense Grid 2. This is from the Alienware beta giveaway that they were doing. I played a lot of Defense Grid 1 on the Xbox, so I wanted to take a look at this and give you all a look at it as well. As far as this, there's not too many options right now. A lot of the stuff, like the leaderboards, are not functioning yet. But we'll just take a look at the campaign. They offer 2 missions right now that you can try to play through. And then the options as far as it, there's the story mode. The story mode is kind of the traditional way to play through the game with different aliens coming through, and you try to stop them from stealing your cores. The grinder mode is that it's like a longer version of the game, but you only face walkers, which are the easiest units, but they get more and more as the game goes on. The green towers only means that you can't upgrade any of your towers. And frozen core means that if they do steal your cores and they're bringing them to the exit, they no longer go back. They no longer go back to the housing. And they offer the options of playing in a competitive. They even offer an option where you can't sell your towers or anything. And we'll play on a normal mode to get started. Here they offer you 2 different characters to play as, but the Nun means that you get nothing. And then General Kai gives you the orbital laser special weapon, so we'll play with that.
You've some new tricks to learn with DG2. I have no doubt you'll get the hang of it.
And so looking at it, it's very similar to the first. It shows you here the path to, this is the power core building, where the enemies will grab the cores and make a run for the exit. And so the kind of strategy, or well, first look at the towers. Very similar to the last game. There's the gun tower. The gun tower just kind of shoots bullets at it, at the enemies nonstop. The Inferno is for up close. It burns the enemies, and it's good against groups and not so great against individual. Laser, it does heat damage over time, and even after it's left the laser, it still burns it, so it's good for those areas where the enemy is going to keep running by, and you're not going to hit it for a little while. A cannon is like a powerful one-shot. It will shoot from quite a distance, but it can only hit one target at a time. The temporal slows down the enemies, and that's a really useful one. And the missile from the original game only could shoot at flying units, and so you had to build them whenever there were flying units coming in, because a lot of the towers can only aim at ground units. But this game, the missile unit can actually fire at any unit from quite a distance, so it's a little bit of a change. But in addition to that, they added what's called the boost here, and the boost is it says an inexpensive blocking tower that you can use to boost the height and abilities of the tower built on it. So it has 2 uses. One is that you can use it as a really cheap way to build kind of your path, but the other is that when you build it here, it builds up basically a platform, so that now whatever tower you put on top of it, it will have an even bigger range than it normally would. So that's a great way to start the game. So what you'll see here is what I'm doing is you can, every time you build, kind of block their path, the longer their path becomes. And so that's a real typical strategy of the game, is to try and just block their path and make their path as long as possible. And now you'll see here the enemies. It's very similar to the first game. There's a lot of, a lot of information when you click on the units, which is not that helpful with these little units, because you can't really see that much about them. But it tells you exactly how long it is until they're going to exit.
Resources and score. Resources will go up and down as we spend them, but score only goes up.
Yeah, so they separated out resources and score, which was an issue with the first game, because a lot of people would just sell all their towers right at the end, and then they get a really boosted score.
I see how this works. Our towers get a boost in height and abilities.
And I mean, the graphics look really, really good on this. the control scheme is a little bit funky. They made the grid really easy to pick up on and everything, and I sort of liked the way that they did it in the last game, where you could tell where the grids were, but they weren't like just squares in the ground. So it's definitely a design decision. I'm not sure I love it, but you know, the gameplay is still very similar. And overall, it's a really, you know, it's a fun game. It's a kind of easy to play mind waster, but it gets harder as the game goes on, and you'll see that like towards the end. It does some cool things, but it does get harder and harder to play. So yeah, just you just got to keep building your towers, and then you're going to want to upgrade your towers as time goes on. It even gives you this option to upgrade. You can overcharge, which is you can upgrade the tower that it's standing on, the support structure that it's standing on, to increase the output of the tower. So I'm going to upgrade both of these. You do one at a time, and you'll see there's 3 types of towers. There's
ground missiles now. Fantastic.
Yeah, there's green, there's yellow, and then there's red, and they get progressively more expensive to upgrade, but they get progressively more powerful. Like the gun, when you upgrade it, it shoots faster, it shoots more. The laser does more damage, the Inferno is a bigger thing, and then the Temporal, which slows them down, and actually the range of it gets bigger and bigger each time. So for me, this is one of the best ones to upgrade as far as cost efficiency, because it's going to give all the other towers much more of a chance to just kind of beat on you. So we'll upgrade the overcharge here, and you'll see now it's shooting even faster, and it has that current effect.
Looks like we've got some new alien breeds to deal with. No matter, as long as they die just like the old ones.
Yeah, and so like this is a new unit that they added to the game, which wasn't in the first one, the Rhino. So the Rhino, what it does is whenever it's on a straightaway, it charges, and then whenever they hit curves, they have to really go slow. And so it's something that you want to have as many curves as possible to really slow them down and not let them rush straight in. And now this is an interesting feature of the game, which I really like, which is that all of a sudden the map changes partway through the game.
Really stretch them out now.
Yeah, so you can add this path, and this looks much, you know, it's kind of the typical defense grid layout of trying to like make them go the most circumvented way of going through the level, like going now up the path and around, and then down the path and back around, and all the time kind of beating on them. So up here I'm going to throw some cannons, because up here they have huge range, and they can hit people. You can see their range here. That's all the range that they can hit in the yellow, so they can hit people coming all the way up. I'm going to upgrade that one. Gun up here, and then put a laser here, because again, this is an area where they're not going to get hit for a little while until I'm able to build more towers, and that laser will burn them for a while. So as you can see, it gets more and more difficult kind of as the game goes on. The challenge is deciding, you know, what resources to use. The better your score and everything, and the resources are better, the less you upgrade. So the challenge of the game is not so much just stopping everything, especially in the early levels. It's very easy to just kill every alien that comes along. The hard part of it is that you want to do it without buying very much. So you want to do it with as few towers as possible. Which really is a challenge, and to figure it out and to see those high scores, it becomes a very competitive game where you can see exactly, you know, the scores, and now apparently with this game the resources that everybody has, how much money they made. You get money for killing the aliens, but you use money every time you upgrade a tower or everything. So yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out what is the best way to utilize your resources, and that's the game, not so much just kill all the aliens. Although some of the levels in the first game were extremely difficult, and anybody that played the first game will know that, like, you don't have enough resources. There's so many aliens coming. They start bringing in these almost boss level aliens that have 2 or 3 lives, and they're just tanks basically. They carry multiple cores on their way out, so it's really a challenge. I will say the graphics on the game are absolutely beautiful. It looks great. The price in the game, and right now on Steam, I saw on the front page, it was in US dollars, it was $22.99, which is a lot of money. The original, I think, was $10. At least when it came out on the Xbox, I think it was 800 points, which is now $10 US. But yeah, $22 is a lot of money for the game, but this is one of those games that tends to be on every Steam sale. You know, you should be able to get it for a pretty decent price once it comes out. I don't know if it will be worth $22. I don't know if I would spend $22 on it, but it's probably worth a good $10, $15. It got a ton of replay value. The first one I probably played for close to 20 to 30 hours because they give you a lot of options. You go through. The first one, the way it worked was you went through the story mode, and then you unlocked all those other modes like Grinder, or they had a mode where you could only use 10 towers, and that was a lot of fun. And so you beat the level on the original, and then especially the earlier levels, it was a lot of fun to go in and say, okay, now you can't upgrade your towers. How are you gonna stop everything not being able to do that? And so it adds a lot of replayability, and you get the original game had medals where you got bronze, silver, gold depending on how well you did, and to unlock a lot of the achievements you need to earn a lot of golds on a lot of the challenging levels. And so for me it was a lot of fun and added a lot of replay value. It's kind of one of those easy to learn, difficult to master type games. It's not too stressful, the games don't go on too long, but it's a lot of fun. Add a few more towers here. Now they're bringing in those rhinos again, and you can see actually up on top here, it shows you exactly what's coming, and each unit has a symbol, and so it's just a matter of figuring out what those are. And there's a ton of different units in this game, which is really cool. These swarmers are like little aliens that go around the bigger units to kind of protect them, and you have to kill them off. And you can see some of these units are just tanks. Like this one made it all the way up to my core, and when it gets up to the core, it takes the core, and then it runs around with it, and then it goes back out to the exit. So it has to get all the way back to where it came from. And on some levels, in the original game, it will, there was a separate exit. So sometimes the exit would be like right here, and so you'd need to like rush your way out. You see the core kind of floating there. So what you need to make sure happens is that it doesn't sort of get picked up by one of the aliens right behind it. So if you get a huge pile up of aliens right here, and like one dies and it drops the core, and then another alien picks up, it automatically reverses course. It doesn't go all the way up here. So the closer and closer the core gets to the exit, the easier it is for the aliens or for the robots or whatever the heck they are to get out with it. And so that's really the challenge. And you see here are some of this is a crasher. This is one of those extremely tough tank units, and my tower is just pounding on it, but it's doing so much. And the way the towers work in general in the game is the towers will attack first whatever unit is in the front. So a lot of the small units will outrun these, and so they'll kind of take the fire for the larger units, which is terrible because these larger units, again, can take so much damage, and you need to really focus on them. But once one of these picks up a core, the towers will focus on whichever one has the core heading to the exit, but then they stop focusing on the ones that are rushing through. So you'll see here the lasers, the Inferno, they're focusing on this one that has the core to make sure it does not escape. And now they've switched focus as these little ones keep picking it up. And they can focus down some of these little guys really quickly, and the core drops. But they're not focusing on any of these. And so that's why you really need these combination of towers, like the Inferno, because it will still hit anything that's going by, but some of the gun and the laser only focus one target at a time. And then you see here, this little guy is running away with my core. This big guy, he can actually hold 3 cores, and that's really the danger of him, is with somebody like that who can hold so many cores, you have to absolutely crush him, because otherwise he's gonna walk out with 3 cores. And you can actually see in the top left corner there, it shows you the exact number of cores that you have available and the number that are moving towards the exit. And So right now there's only, it looks like they've got all of them, as you can see by that arrow. And so yeah, there were only a few that were remaining, but now they're making a run for it. So now we really have to start making some moves to make sure that these guys do not get out. And so this is when you kind of get the panic buying at the end, and you're going, okay, my resources just are not working well enough. I need to start adding more stuff here to just make sure that these things do not get to the exit. And I'm fairly confident that these little guys won't make it. There's no way they're going to get by, but even this Crasher, well, he's down pretty good. It's just a matter of figuring out, like, okay, do I need to keep buying more towers, or do what I have here, is that enough to stop them? And it's a hard kind of game to play. And there you see the missile, which is really kind of neat, and I'm going to upgrade this because it's pretty awesome. As it gets upgraded, it just really starts pummeling things from far across the map. And to take a look at its range at level 2 here, you can see it can hit all of that. It can hit pretty much the whole map. Now, they can't pick up... Well, this guy, he only had 2 cores or 1 core to begin with, so he could actually pick up the cores, because when he got up here, all the cores were out, so he couldn't grab anymore. So on the way back, if they aren't full, they can actually pick up more, so you need to take out everything on the way back. And there's actually some achievements in the game that are very, very difficult. Like, one of the achievements in the first game, I think, was to never let any of the cores get out. And that can be extremely, extremely challenging. It looks like we won't have a problem taking this down. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. So here you see they give you some cool graphs, and they show you where the cores were stolen and all that. This shows you the 3 different levels that you would need, the bronze, silver, and gold. And so in this case, we beat it. It shows you your best score, it shows you your other towers, the aliens, the power cores, all that. So yeah, all in all, I would say a pretty fun game, a pretty interesting game, and probably one that I'll pick up once it comes out, but I'll probably wait for one of the Steam sales for it. But just wanted to give you a look for it. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe, feel free to throw a like my way, or if you have any questions about it, feel free to give me a comment, or if you'd like to see more of it, I'm happy to upload some more. Alright, thanks.